What's going on, man? It's your boy, your guy, Rashone, aka Looker, live from the Slip Seat. Peace and blessings to everybody out there, man. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, so every time I post a video, you'll know about it. What's today? Today is July the 23rd, 2020. And it's something I want to touch on right now, man, that's like, it's really bothersome. I want to talk about some companies right now. You know, a lot of talk has been going on around the country, within the African American community, and it's been a lot of talk on various platforms about reparations, and that talk has been going on for years, but more so this year, more so than ever, it's been talked about from all the things and the incidents that, you know, have taken place, and the curtain just pulled, and a lot more things and are coming out, you know. So the situation I want to talk about, man, is, I came across 13 companies, man, that have played a real big part in slavery. Companies that have enslaved our African ancestors. And I'm going to run them down, you know. I'm going to run down the companies, and I'm going to break down exactly everything, what part did they play in slavery. What was their role? First up the bat, you know, I heard T.I. talking about, he spoke about Lloyd's of London, and they were a company that that had transported, that they had boats, and they transported, they made their money off of transporting slaves. Transporting the slaves to America. But there's another company that done the similar as well. I have a list here of 13 companies, and a lot of them you may have heard of, and some of you may have not. But I've guaranteed a good 95% of them you heard of them. Fleet Boston Financial. There's a company. They evolved later from a previous company, bank that was called Providence Bank, founded by John Brown, who was a slave trader and owned ships used to transport enslaved Africans. The bank financed Brown's slave voyage. Also, John Brown also had his hands in Brown University. Yeah, look that up. Fleet Boston Financial. That's one of the companies, and that's the role that they played in slavery. Another company. Now, we know the railroads and stuff. You know, you know history. We know the railroads and things. Our ancestors, we know that they worked the railroads, but to hear, you know, this right here, CSX, you know, a rail company, a train company, used slave labor to construct portions of the U.S. rail lines. Slaves were rented. They rented slaves for a price up to $200, the equivalent of $3,800 today for a season. So they rented slaves. CSX rented slaves for $200 for a season. CXX took full advantage. They took full advantage of that. Another company is USA Today. Their parent company, EW Scripps and Gannett, have had links to slave trade. Another company, I'm going through my list, y'all, you know, because when I like to bring y'all stuff, I got to bring y'all, you know what I mean? I make sure I write my stuff, man. I don't want to bring y'all nothing. And you can also go look this information up on AtlantaBlackStar.com. This list was compiled back in 2013 as well. You know, the list of these, the first 9 that I'm giving you came from AtlantaBlackStar.com. So I don't want to take credit for something. That's where I found my information at. You know, Canadian National Railway Company, headquartered in Montreal, Quebec, that serves Canada, Midwestern states, Southern states, and the United States, that benefited from slavery as well. They value slaves at $199,691. Currently, this amount is $2.2 million. Canadian National Railway Company. Number 6, Brooks Brothers. The retailer, the clothing company, Brooks Brothers. There was once a high-end retailer, and they sold clothing to slave traders for the slaves back in the 1800s. Brooks Brothers. That's number 6. Number 7, Barclays Bank. The British multinational banking and financial service company. They're in London. And they also revealed that they have involvement in the slave trade as well. They don't go into what role they played in it, but they had involvement. And I would think that, you know, because what I found was a lot of these financial firms too, a lot of these financial firms and a lot of these insurance companies, you know, life insurance companies, some of them, their role that they played was like they had slaves were like collateral for them, you know. You'll hear as I go on. AIG, whom brought various companies. One of them was American General Financial Group, based out of Houston, Texas. They put life insurance on enslaved Africans living in Kentucky. They put life insurance. They allow slave masters to open up, you know, and put life insurance on the African slaves, our ancestors. Brown Brothers Harriman, oldest and largest private investment bank. They was founded in 1818. They owned hundreds of slaves, African slaves, and financed the cotton economy by lending millions to southern planters, merchants, and cotton brokers. That's Brown Brothers Harriman. So moving on to the next one I have here, the final 4. which I gathered these because these final four, they weren't on. I didn't see them on AtlantaBlackStar.com, but I found these final four that I'm going to read off on racism.org. Tiffany and Co. Tiffany and Co. Had a cotton mill in Connecticut, and the cotton mill was was being worked by slaves. So, and that's how they gained their money, and that's how you had Tiffany and Co. came about. New York Life. So slave policies during the mid-'80s, and New York Life, you probably seen them on different commercials for sports events, maybe the NFL, games doing commercials. If you don't know about them, or you might have seen their ads running on different Major League Baseball, doing different sports events you might have seen. That's when I've actually seen a lot of their commercials and stuff during those events. Aetna, this was crazy to me. This one right here was the one that was like bugged out to me. Aetna ensured the life of slaves and reimbursed slave owners when the slaves died. Aetna, they ensured the life of slaves and reimbursed slave owners when slaves died. So these owners of slaves, of our African ancestors, they had, the nerve that, you worked them to the bone and worked them to death and beat them if they didn't produce as you wanted them to. And then you had the galls when they died. You had insurance on them, so when they died, you still made money off of them. Unreal, man. It just, just reading this stuff, man, it just struck a chord with me, man. It just really bothered me, man, reading this. Another one on my list is Bank of America. Two of his predecessors, Boatman Savings Institution and Southern Bank of St. Louis, had ties to slavery, and other predecessors. Bank of Metropolis accepted slaves as collateral on loans. Now, what does a bank do with a human for collateral? You accept a human, even though when we think back to this time, the way they looked at us was that we were half of a human. So, how do you have a human for collateral? A whole human body being. How do you hold that as collateral? That person, a being. How? What do you do? You know what I'm saying? So you saying if this slave owner wasn't able to pay, then what did you do? So okay, I can only think. Okay, so you either what did you do? You either you took that African slave and you, if the slave owner didn't have the money to pay you back, then you took that slave, and then what did? You sold it. You sold that human to another person to get your money back? Is that what happened? You were using our people like that? Come on, man. And the thing is crazy, while I'm going through this and I'm reading it, right? It's crazy how a lot of these companies, they bought these companies out, just for instance, like Bank of America, they come in. We know that these companies are coming and buy another company out. You know what I'm saying? So you know business, you know that if it's funny how these companies would try to you know, they're like, when I'm reading some of these things, and I know you're hearing me, and a lot of these companies saying like for instance, like Boston Fleet Financial as well, they're trying to say, oh yeah, they evolved, you know, from Providence Bank. Providence Bank was, you know, it was Providence Bank, then it changed into Fleet Boston Financial. So it's funny how they try to like cover up and say, oh, well, we didn't know. Well, you bought everything. When a company comes buy out another company, you take on all their debt. You take on everything that company had, and you pay it off. You have to pay it off. You take on every debt that company had. So my thing is this: I don't give a flying fuck. Like, if your company, if it was a Bank of America, if it was a New York Life, if it was Aetna, if it wasn't actually under that flag that any of that happened, you took on that company, so it is you now. I don't give a flying fuck. You still are a part of that. There's no way of getting out of that. You take on all debt. And I feel like when we talk about reparations, this is one of the ways that reparations could be paid back. Through these companies like that. You need to go into the inner cities. You companies sit in the same cities that that have heavy hardship, that are dealing with the disenfranchised African Americans. I look back and I'm thinking about Chicago. They talking about sending in troops. Trump says something like, yeah, we can have that, all of that, you know, what's going on in Chicago with the killings and all of that. We can settle that. We can have that cleared out in a week. I believe you can. You can. By sending the military in there, yeah, you can. But that ain't what you do, man. That ain't what you do. You need to set up programs. You need to set up things. You need to train the police and hold them accountable for things. We need accountability and honor, you know, and it needs to be a trust in the community. It needs to be different programs to show people how to start businesses, how to go about it. They don't have an entrepreneur mindset. That is not what they want to do. To show them how to better programs, because some of these programs they have in the city where they may have these centers you go to and they may help you with your resume. They're not worth too much of shit. You know, the education system needs to be revamped. The whole judicial system needs to be torn down. It needs to be rewritten. The laws need to be rewritten. It is so much that these companies that played a major part and why our African American are where, our people were brought over here and thrown into this situation. And there has never been no talk of reparations when this country was built off of the backs of Africans, our African ancestors. They were built off of their backs, the sweat, the blood, and the tears. And it's never wanted to be addressed. They never want to address that situation. You cannot sweep that under the rug and think that it's going to go away. That is a major part of history. A major part of history. And they want to do away with that. They want to act like that never happened. They want to keep moving forward, but the time has come now that there's a wall up. You cannot get over this wall until you fix the problem. You have no disrespect to our Native Americans because they were here in this country first, and they were pushed out. They were pushed out. Just, you can read up and look up the Trail of Tears. They were pushed out. But at the end of the day, even the Native Americans were given, they were given land, sacred land, that so much so that it's protected by the government. You cannot go on any property of any reservation. It will be repercussions if you do anything. And if you've been around the country and you came close to any reservation, you'll see signs posted letting you know, that land is sacred and protected. Even the Native Americans got reparations after they ran them out and then wanted to take over the country, capture the country on some pirate shit. But we were brought over here like forced over here, the harshest conditions brought over here, and treated like animals, and you don't, and we don't get any reparations. There's no talk about that. But you want to continue. We have those that want to continue to act like they are the majority and we are the minority. Nah. And you cannot try to make our people feel that way anymore. The truth is out. We've always been first. You came and you captured our people and brought them over here. We did the work. From everything, we laid the tracks, literally railroad tracks. We worked them. I just ran down what they were paying the slave holders for slaves. The railroad system. It's disturbing, man. It's disturbing that we would try to go on and this country would try to keep moving forward and not. Hey, you cannot continue to go forward anymore. This is all truth. Well, I got this information. I found it. AtlantaBlackStar.com and racism.org. That's the information I just gave y'all on those companies. And there's more to come. There'll be more to be found out. You'll have companies that'll be trying to really erase. But you can't erase something that's already in the book somewhere. We're going to find the rest of you companies who played a major part in that. And I feel like that's where the reparations need to start. When we talk about reparations, just not only the country, the government needs to set up something with reparations for African Americans. But these companies, we could definitely start something right there. And it definitely needs to be forced. And that's just where I'm at with it. I'm your boy Rashone. This is Space Invaders, live from the Slip Seat. Today is a day that, I mean, when I read this, man, it just bothered me. It bothered me. And it bothered me to read, to read that, and really see, how they were actually, these companies, it don't even surprise me about the company. It surprised me more of wow, that's how you really treated us? And then you actually out here today still trying to, some of these companies are, still trying to sell things to us and everything, And a lot of these companies talk about ethics and respect and morals. You people don't stand on anything. These companies don't stand on no damn morals and ethics. Not when you know this and never address it, and all they can say is they sorry, they apologize. The apology ain't enough. Are you crazy? These people don't even understand how serious that is. But today we talk about, another harsh thing that's going on is sex trafficking, human trafficking. We talk about that, and we want to lock folks up for that, which they need to go under the jail for that. But we won't touch on this. We won't talk about these companies. We won't talk about what the country done. You done the same thing. You human traffic. We were human trafficked across the Atlantic. We were trafficked across the Atlantic Ocean. We were sold. We were brought. We were beaten. Our people were raped. You changed our names. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. We got to pay attention. And this is that we have to gotta hold these companies accountable. And I feel like anybody that may be working, any African American that is working for these companies I just named off, the way that we can start something is by you standing up and stepping to your CEO, stepping to the owner of the company if you could get to them and let them know about this situation if they don't know. If they're CEO and they don't know. If they're owner of the company, they know about it. They brought all the debt. So they know. Unless it would just pass, unless, it might even pass down the generations and, they just don't know at this point about it. But this is the way. And if you don't do that, then you're a problem. If you don't address, if you are African American and you're working for any of these companies I just named off, and you don't address them and let them know about this situation and try to see if it's some type of initiative that could be started within a neighboring community, we have to start somewhere. Because I don't know how anyone that could be African American that can work for these companies that I just named off and don't feel a way. And if you don't feel a way, then you are a problem. You are part of our problem too. If you work for any of them companies and you're African American and you don't feel a way about that and you don't address, your CEO or like I said, even if you could get to the owner of the company, the owners or the shareholders, then you are part of the problem. You're part of the problem. But that's it. I'm your boy. I'm Rashone, a.k.a. Looker. You can find me on Facebook under the same name, Rashone Looker. Instagram, Rashone Looker. Here on Space Invaders on YouTube. Hit me up. Make sure y'all subscribe to the page. Hit the bell for notifications. And share this video. Share this video. If you really want to get a message out there, share this video. Because knowledge is key. Each one teach one. You know what I mean? You can't be held accountable for the things that you don't know. But when you do know, then we talking something different. So pass the info on. Share it. You know what I mean? Because knowledge is key, and the more that we get it out there, and the things can change. You can't just bypass what I'm saying right now, because that's real, that's serious. And a lot of people could say, yeah, well, there's a lot of companies. I know it's probably thousands of companies out there. You're right. And we all got to address them. If you thinking about your community and things that could be different, then we got these companies that need to give up their profits, because everything they own, everything they gain was from the blood, sweat, and tears, and on the backs of our people. And that's real. But I'm your boy. I'm out. I'm signing out. One.